Hi, I'm Jamie Statz-Paynter and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today we are going to be making this lovely fun fold card. Okay, and so what I will start by showing you is what you take first is you take this Rich Razzleberry cardstock, and what you're going to do is you're going to cut the Rich Razzleberry cardstock you can see my measurements down here, 4 1/4, and it is by 11 inches. So it's the normal size you would cut it, and then scoring it at 5 1/2. Now what you're going to do though is you're cutting 2 pieces out of a whole sheet of paper. Then what you do is once it's all scored, you use your paper trimmer to cut from one end to one end. So basically when you are using this, what you would do is you line up where the first score line is and then line up where your point is, and that's what helps you cut your paper so you have the right direction. Now when you are doing that, you can go ahead and cut the same piece of paper in the same direction for both pieces of cardstock, because what will happen is once you fold them, you're going to fold them such that they line up just like this. And the goal is you're going to see how close you can get them to each other so that you don't see anything on the inside. So what I do is, depending on, I try and put them each one in a different top and bottom to see which one comes the closest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this back side. And again, I don't want to put it too close to the edge, because otherwise what's going to happen is it will smear out. And then I'm going to put it so it doesn't hit exactly on the fold line, because otherwise it's going to make your paper thicker and bendable. So then I'm going to go like that. Okay, so that's the first thing. And you can see I got a little bit of this, and that's because I didn't push it close enough there. There we go. The nice part about glue versus the Stampin' is you can move it so that it fits to where you want it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little glue eraser here to get the little bit of excess glue off so it doesn't close my paper to stick. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of my cardstock, and the cardstock that I am using, I'm going to bring it here so you can see it, is my Flowering Tulips cardstock. So you've got your main sheets of paper that look like this. This is the one I use, but you can see how beautiful this paper is. And that is my Flowering Fields 12 by 12 designer series paper. And what I do is whenever I'm making cards, if I'm making it for a certain occasion, so like this one, I'm doing it just as a general friendship, I can get 6 pieces of this cardstock, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4. So you can see I've got my layers over here. So the face of the card on this, once I cut it and fold it, is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So my first layer, which is this, will be 4 by 5 1/4, which means then I go down 1/4 inch for every subsequent level that I would be doing. Now the key of doing this is you want to make sure when I'm putting it on that I'm going to be putting it, and you can see it's a beautiful, lovely color on the other side. I'm very much into purple, so this is my favorite out of all of them because I love the front and the back. It's Rich Razzleberry and Highland Heather is the little flower that's there. So I'm going to go like this. I like putting it on when I can see what the outside is, so I don't get too much or too little and make a mistake. So I'm looking for about 1/4 inch all around, and this is where you can see if you made a little bit of a mistake. Oops, I put a little too much glue up there. A little bit of a mistake for cutting if I didn't get it too close. But most people won't notice that because of how pretty the card is. So when it comes back, you're going to see it's going to be in the same direction. So I'm now going to flip it here and look for about 1/4 inch. This is the other reason why my cardstock layers all go by 1/4 inch and not 1/8 of an inch, because 1/8 of an inch you have to be a very precise paper cutter. And excuse me, that is not always the case when it comes to me. I'm pretty darn close, but sometimes those smaller levels are not always so easy. Okay, so that's about my base and what I'm using. So next I wanted to show you what I'm going to be doing is I am using my Flowering Rain Boots photopolymer stamp set. And I'm going to do the inside, because what I want to remember when I'm doing the inside is I want to make sure that when I'm gluing it down here, that I'm gluing it in the right direction like this and not accidentally gluing my inside facing that way. So that's why I like to get the second piece done immediately after the first. Now, what I'm going to show you is I have already stamped Our Friendship and my pot. My pot is in a smoky slate ink that I stamped. But what I want to show you, because I wanted to spend time on a different piece of this just so that you know. So again, you can see I've got it in the right direction. Okay, so for my inside, what I want to show you is, you see how in this stamp set it looks like this. Now the problem is, okay, this is Evening Evergreen and Rich Razzleberry. So when I stamp it, my stamp comes out like this. So it's one whole entire piece. So what I did was, because the pot isn't wide enough, if you try to put it like this, it's going to look silly. This design is meant more for the boots so that you can use it in the boots. But you can also use it in the pot. But what you have to do for the pot is, on the front of the card pot, I'm going to cut this apart once I have it stamped, which I did. I'm going to cut it apart like this and like this. Okay, and on the pot on the front of my card, I'm going to use the whole stamp of the larger amount, but on this inside, I'm going to glue a partial. Now, and that way, I like doing stamping something that looks a little bit the same on the inside as the outside, or using something with the paper, because that helps tie the front to the back of my card. Now, the same thing goes through when I'm doing this. And I'm going to glue this. This is my pot for the front. I'm going to put a little glue on here. And when I'm gluing the front down, what I'm looking at is, I want to make sure I have enough space above to put the flowers, which I do. Because some of the designs I've used, I've made it where I've had to cut a little more of this off so the flowers fit. So when you stamp the flowers, they look like this. Now again, I've got part of the flower here and part of the flower here, the stem. So I'm going to cut this little piece off here. And then what I'm going to do is glue the stem, and I'm going to push it down a little bit, because unfortunately I put it a little too close to my beautiful. And so I'm putting it that low, but the front one, I'm going to keep it up near the top. And you can see how it just aligns just perfectly on my flower. So again, that's the inside of the card. And this is my flower pot. So this piece of cardstock is, well, let's go like this. So this is the first cut that I'm using, and this is the stitched rectangles, and it's the third one from the smallest. No, actually, it's not. This one is the third one from the smallest. My Stitch So Sweetly dies. Third one from the, oh, Jamie, what are we thinking here? Second one from the largest. So this one is the second one from the largest of my Stitch So Sweetly dies. And now you can either use this one which is what I did. I used the third from the smallest to do this, which give you a look like this. Or you can just go ahead and plain cut it out. And if you did, I would go 5/8 inch by 2 inch. And what it'll be is it'll get you a little closer to the outside edges here. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this on. So you can see how, although this die looks nice, it wasn't because they're two separate die sets. I just didn't want to use two scalloped, so they don't exactly line up for what I wanted to make here. So, but it'll still work. And then I have my sentiment that I'm putting over it. So I also used from an older stamp set, my Well Said stamp set, which is My Life is Better Because You Are in It. And I'm going to glue this to the top of this, and then looks like I made a little, there we go, make it a little even, and then I'm going to just check to see that it doesn't go over the scallops. And so this rich raspberry piece that I am gluing right now is 3/4 inch by 2 1/4 inch. And I'm going to put it over there, and that way it doesn't show the stems and how they attach to that. Okay. So the stamps that I used was Evening Evergreen for the leaves, and my Rich Raspberry for the flowers, and my Smoky Slate for the pot, and my Black Memento for the sentiments that we have on this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, and you can see I didn't line it up quite right. So what I may do is just pull this down a little bit and further bend a little bit more to get it a little bit closer. But what I'm going to do is you can either glue this bottom part or the top part. And what I do is I start by looking at how it's going to center across this cross. So you can't, some dies you can do it where you go and you match corner to corner. This die does not do that. So what I did is I did about one, let's see, about like that. So about one nubby on the end. And I'm just going to put a little glue here. If I need more, I can always add it. On the darker colors, it's harder to erase without leaving some kind of image to show you that that's where the dark color was. Okay. And then I want to get it straight. Again, why I like glue, because you saw how I could go like this to move it to where I want it so that it fits exactly. And you can see I didn't get any glue there. If I did want to put a little more glue on, like down here, because I didn't have as much there that I wanted, I can put just a little bit more. But then I don't have to worry again about it coming off. But now I did get it a little here, so what I'm going to use is my glue eraser once everything is all dried. So again, this is my stamp that I made with the Flowering Rain Boots and with my Well Said stamp set. It says, "My life is better because you're in it. Our friendship is naturally beautiful." So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, my name is Jamie Statz-Paynter. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.